Something happened to me, and to this day I can't understand it. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that in December 2023 I was broke. Not just broke, I was broken inside. 8 months unemployed, apartment payments overdue. My ex-wife had gotten full custody of Emily, my 6-year-old daughter, because I couldn't pay child support. Every night I looked at my phone hoping for a message from her. Anything. A drawing. A hi, Daddy. Nothing came. I lived in Millbrook, a working-class town in rural Ohio that had been something special in the 1980s. Now it was just closed factories, seedy bars, and people like me. Too old to start over, too young to give up. I spent my days sending out resumes and my nights tossing and turning on my mattress, listening to the trucks on Highway 71. It was on one of those bad days that I saw the ad. I was in a Facebook group for temporary jobs, those places where desperate people offer anything. The post was simple. Wanted, Santa Claus for night shift, Westfield Plaza Shopping Mall, $300 per night, immediate start, call 740-555-0198, $300, at night. I reread it 3 times. Nobody paid that much. Not even the Santa Clauses at the fancy Columbus malls earned half of that. But I had no choice. I called. The call dropped twice before someone answered. When they did, the voice was strange, metallic, as if they were going through an old intercom. Westfield Plaza. Human Resources. Hi, I saw the Santa Claus ad. Is it still available? Silence. Static. Then, do you have experience with children? I have a daughter. Do you work well alone? Work. Can you sit still for long periods of time? Strange question, but I answered, I can. More silence. Then the voice said, you start tonight, 10 o'clock at night. Back entrance. Bring your ID. Wait, I didn't do an interview, did I? You just did it. And they hung up. I stared at my phone, confused. But $300. That was more than I'd earned in the entire month. I thought about Emily, about Christmas coming, about the presents I wouldn't be able to give her. I needed this. At 9:30 p.m., I got in my '98 Civic and drove to Westfield Plaza. I knew that place. Everyone in Millbrook knew it. The mall had closed 4 years ago, shortly after a suspicious fire on the 2nd floor. 7 people died. They said the fire started in an electronics store, but it was never clear. After that, the place became a ghost town. Now they said they were going to renovate, reopen. But for months all I'd seen was parked trucks and plastic tarps covering broken shop windows. When I arrived, the parking lot was empty. Only my car and an unmarked white van were near the back entrance. Dirty snow had accumulated in the corners. The streetlights flickered dimly. I turned off the engine. I took a deep breath. And I went in. The back door was ajar. I pushed slowly. The metal groaned, its sound echoing down the empty hallway. The smell hit me immediately. Mold, dust, and something sweet and chemical, like melted plastic. I swallowed hard and went inside. The hallway was narrow, with peeling concrete walls and exposed electrical wires hanging from the ceiling. Only a flashing red emergency light flickered at the end. My footsteps echoed. Every sound seemed amplified. Hello? My voice came out weaker than I expected. Nothing. I kept going. The hallway led to a staff break room, broken desks, overturned chairs, a microwave with its door ripped off. Someone had spray-painted the wall with black. Don't come back here. I felt a chill run down my spine. You came. I almost screamed. A man was standing in the opposite doorway. I hadn't seen him come. He was tall, thin, wearing a cheap gray suit and a crooked tie. His face was pale, almost gray under the red light. He didn't blink. Are you HR? I asked, trying to control my voice. He made a sound that could have been a laugh. Something like that. Follow me. He turned and started walking. I hesitated, but I thought about the $300. I followed. We walked through more corridors, climbed a staircase, and passed through doors with broken glass. The mall was gradually revealing itself. Empty shops with fallen mannequins, windows covered in graffiti, the marble floor cracked. Everything was dark except for the emergency lights. The silence was heavy, oppressive. Finally, we arrived at the central food court, and there it was. In the middle of the square, under an unlit chandelier, there was a red chair, a large, upholstered chair with golden arms, a Santa Claus chair. Next to it, in a dirty cardboard box, was the uniform. "Put this on," the man said, without looking at me. "Sit in the chair. Wait." "What are we waiting for?" "Just wait." He began to walk away. "Hey, when do I leave? What time?" He stopped. He turned his head, but not his body. That movement made me think of a bird or a broken doll. "You leave when you're finished." "And when does it end?" He smiled, or at least he tried to. His mouth opened, but his teeth looked stained, dark. "You'll find out." And he disappeared down one of the corridors. I was left alone. I looked at the uniform. I picked up the box. The red fabric was faded, with yellowish stains. The cap had a bell that didn't ring. It smelled of mothballs and something else, rather rancid. But I put it on anyway. The clothes were too big. The boots were too tight. I sat down in the chair. The food court stretched around me like an arena. Empty fast food counters, overturned tables. On the second floor, the shop windows looked like open mouths. Dark, empty. I picked up my cell phone. No signal. Of course. I was going to stay there all night alone in a dead-end shopping mall dressed as Santa Claus, waiting for something that nobody explained. For the first time, I thought about giving up. But then my phone vibrated. A notification from the bank. "Your account is overdrawn by $680. Collection action has been initiated." I put my phone away. I took a deep breath. I could handle it. I needed to endure it. I closed my eyes for a moment. When I opened it, the lights flickered, and in the distance, very far away, I heard something. A song. Jingle bells, but distorted, slow, as if the tape were melting, and there was no electricity connected. The music came from nowhere. I turned my head, trying to locate the source, but the sound seemed to move. Sometimes it came from the left, from the corridor leading to the clothing stores, then from the right, near the old playground, then from above, from the second floor. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, but slowly, dragging, like a scratched record playing at the wrong speed. I stood up from the chair. My heart was racing. "Hey, is anyone there?" Silence. The music stopped. Only the echo of my own voice returned, weak and distorted. I waited. I counted to 10. Nothing happened. "You're going crazy," I muttered to myself. "There must be some old sound system still on. Battery, something." I sat down again. The chair creaked. The minutes ticked by slowly. I looked at my phone. 10:47 p.m. Still no signal. The clock on the wall of the food court was stopped at 3:33 a.m. Crooked hands, broken glass. Strangely specific. I tried to distract myself. I looked around, taking in the details. There was a closed Burger King to my left. The letters of the sign were fallen off, leaving only ing. A Chinese fast food restaurant on the other side, with plastic chairs stacked on top of each other. Everything was covered in dust, but something was wrong. The footprints. There were footprints in the dust on the ground. Many footprints, recent ones. And they weren't just mine. I got up again, slowly. I followed the trail with my eyes. The marks led towards the central corridor, the one that led to the main shops. Some footprints were small. Children's footprints. My stomach tightened. "It must be the renovation team," I said aloud, just to hear something. "Of course. They work here during the day." But there was no dust on the footprints. They were recent, from today, of now. That's when the light flickered. It wasn't a quick blink. It was as if someone had flipped a dimmer switch. The red light on the emergency exits dimmed almost completely, then came back on. Dimmed again. Came back on. And during one of those dark moments, I saw someone was standing on the second floor, a silhouette, standing by the fence, looking down, looking for me. My blood ran cold. "Hi," I shouted. My voice broke. "Do you work here?" The silhouette did not move. The light flickered again. When it came back on, she was gone. My breathing was rapid. Cold sweat trickled down the back of my neck. I wanted to run. I wanted to get out of there. But my feet wouldn't move. And then I heard it. Steps, fast, light, like a child running. They were coming from the corridor to my right. Lose, 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 lose. Closer and closer. My body finally reacted. I recoiled, stumbling over the chair. I fell back into it, clutching the golden arms, my eyes fixed on the dark hallway. The footsteps stopped, right at the entrance. I was hoping to see someone, a child, an employee, anything. But there was no one there, only darkness. And then, very softly, I heard a voice. A child's voice. "You came." My heart almost stopped. Who's there?" The voice didn't answer, but I heard a laugh. Soft, innocent, a child's laughter, and footsteps again. This time moving away, going back into the hallway, disappearing into the darkness. I froze. My fingers were white from gripping the chair so tightly. My mind was trying to process everything. Was that real? Did I really hear that? The music started again. Jingle bells, jingle bells. But now it was coming from everywhere at once. If this made you uncomfortable, wait for the next chapter. I don't know how long I stood there, paralyzed in that chair. It could have been minutes. It could have been hours. Time seemed not to exist properly in that place. I kept looking at my cell phone. 11:02 p.m., then 11:03 p.m., then 11:02 p.m. again. The clock had to be wrong. It has to be. I was seriously considering getting up and leaving. $300 wasn't worth that when I heard footsteps approaching. Normal footsteps this time. Adult footsteps, firm, coming from the hallway to my left. It was him, the man in the gray suit. He appeared under the red light, walking with that strange, overly rigid posture. He was carrying an old clipboard. His eyes met mine and he stopped a few meters from the chair. "The first night is always difficult," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "There's someone here," I said quickly. I heard it. Footsteps, a child, and the music sheet. Normal. Normal? I repeated, incredulous. How can it be normal? There's no power on. He tilted his head. The building has a memory. Old sounds. Echoes. It happens. Echoes don't call my name. He didn't answer. He just looked at the clipboard and marked something. Then he stared at me again. You need to follow the rules. What rules? Nobody told me about any rules. I'm speaking now. He took a step closer. The red light made his skin look like raw meat. First rule, don't leave your chair until your shift is over. When does it end? When I tell you, he continued. Second rule, don't look directly down the hallways for too long, especially the one on the second floor. My stomach churned. Why? Third rule, he ignored my question. If someone calls you by name, don't answer. What do you mean if someone... Don't answer. His voice became deeper, firmer. Did you understand? I nodded slowly, even though I didn't understand anything. He went back to writing on the clipboard. Then he looked up again. He hesitated, as if he were studying me. How much do you need? He asked suddenly. What? About the money. How much do you need? I frowned. 300 a night. That's what you said. No. He shook his head slowly. How much do you need? Total to pay off his debts. To see his daughter again. My blood ran cold. I had never spoken about Emily before. How do you know? You complete the entire week without missing a single night, and I'll pay double. Every single night. He gave a thin, dead smile. $420 in total, enough to solve your problems. Maybe even buy her a Christmas present. My mouth was dry. You investigated my life? It's an important job, he said, ignoring the question. Someone needs to sit in that chair. Someone always needs to be here. Why? What difference does it make? He tucked the clipboard under his arm. He turned to leave. Wait! I stood up from my chair. You didn't answer. Why do I have to stay seated? What is this place? He stopped. He didn't turn around. He just spoke over his shoulder. You've worked here before, haven't you? My heart raced. Me? No. Never. Are you sure? He turned his head. Just his head. His body remained with its back to him. That unnatural movement again. Security. Night shift. 5 years ago. The room spun. No. I had tried to forget. I had buried it so deep that I almost convinced myself it hadn't happened. But he knew. 7 people died, he continued, his voice calm, soft. You were on duty. I had nothing to do with the fire. No. He finally turned to face me, his eyes fixed, empty. But you left. You abandoned your post. 3 minutes before the alarm sounded. 3 minutes before it all began. My legs gave way. I just went to smoke. It was only for 3 minutes. I didn't know that. 3 minutes, he repeated, and 7 people burned. Hot tears welled up. I didn't want to. I know. He came closer. He placed a cold hand on my shoulder. That's why you're here, to make up for it, to finish the shift you never finished. He squeezed my shoulder. Too hard. Sit down. Don't get up from your chair. Finish your work. And he disappeared into the darkness. I collapsed into the chair. My hands were trembling. My breathing was uneven, rapid, shallow. The room spun around me. His words echoed in my head. 7 people were burned. I had spent 5 years trying to forget that night. 5 years convincing myself that it hadn't been my fault. That 3 minutes made no difference. That I couldn't have foreseen it. But deep down, I always knew. I always knew that if I had stayed at my post, if I had seen the smoke starting, if I had sounded the alarm 30 seconds earlier, perhaps they would have left in time. I wiped my face with my uniform sleeve. The fabric scratched my skin. It smelled of mold and ashes. Concentrate, I thought. Just end the night. Take the money. Never come back here again. But while I was trying to calm down, I realized something. Silence. The music had stopped. The footsteps had stopped. The entire mall was absolutely silent. And then I heard it. A small voice. Hey! My heart almost exploded. I turned my head. There was a child standing 3 meters away from me. A little girl. Maybe 6 years old. Blonde hair tied in braids. She was wearing a pink winter coat, white boots. She was holding a worn brown teddy bear. She was smiling. My throat closed up. Hi, I repeated, my voice hoarse. She took a step closer. Her eyes were large, blue, too bright under the red light. Are you Santa Claus? I swallowed hard. I am. I came to ask for my gift. My mind was racing. Where did she come from? How did she get in here? Where are her parents? You're alone? She nodded. She continued smiling. Does your family know you're here? I no longer have a family. The cold that gripped me didn't come from the air. It came from within. What do you mean by that? She didn't answer. She just took another step. Now she was so close I could see the details. The pink coat had dark marks, burns. The white boots were dirty with ash, and his bear. Half of the bear's face was melted. Are you going to give me my present? She asked, her voice still sweet. Innocent. I don't have any presents here. She tilted her head. But you're Santa Claus. I know, but today I'm just sitting. It's a different kind of work. You were sitting there that night too. My blood froze. What? In the security room, sitting down, watching the cameras. She pointed to the second floor. You saw me running. I was looking for my mother. No. The smoke was getting thick, she continued, her voice still calm. I couldn't breathe. I saw you on the camera. You looked at me. Tears burned my eyes. And then you left, she whispered. I didn't know, my voice came out broken. I didn't know the fire was going to, but you left. I was only going to be gone for 3 minutes. And I died in 2. Silence. A silence so heavy it hurt the ears. She moved closer. So close now that I could smell it. Smoke, burnt flesh, melted plastic. You owe me a gift, she said. I don't have. You owe me my life. Her voice changed. It became hoarse, deep. Her mouth opened too wide. Her teeth were black, burned, and then she blinked. When her eyelids rolled back up, her eyes were no longer blue. They were empty, just smoking black holes. I screamed. I fell out of my chair, sliding backward. My body slammed against the Burger King counter. My breath came out in desperate sobs. When I looked again, she had disappeared. Only the teddy bear was on the floor. Burnt, smoking, still warm. I don't know how long I lay there huddled up, trembling. My mind screamed at me to get up, run, get out of there. But my body wouldn't obey. I just stared at the bear. At that burnt and twisted thing on the ground. It's not real. It can't be real. But the smell was real. Melted plastic and something worse. Something organic. The smell of charred flesh that I had smelled that night 5 years ago, when I finally went back inside and saw the bodies. Eventually, I forced myself to stand. My legs were wobbly. My stomach was churning. I went back to the chair. I sat down. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know what else to do. Rule number 1, don't get up from your chair. I picked up my cell phone. I tried to call. Nothing. I tried to send a message. It failed. I looked at the clock. 23:47. Is that all? It feels like I've been here for hours already. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. I tried to calm down. You're tired, stressed. Your brain is playing tricks on you. The girl wasn't real. The bear is just old junk that was already there. I opened my eyes, and I saw them. People, stops in the hallways around me. My heart raced. There was a man standing near the old electronics store. He was wearing a blue polo shirt, jeans, white sneakers, just standing there, looking at me. A woman was standing further to the left near the broken escalator. She was wearing a floral dress. Her hair was tied up. She had a bag over her shoulder. She was also looking. There was more. A teenager on the second floor, leaning against the railing. An elderly man near the playground. A young woman with a baby stroller. Everyone stopped. Everyone's watching. Everyone be silent. Hello? My voice came out weak, without strength. No one answered. They were just watching. I tried to count. 7. There were 7 people. 7 people died. No, don't think about it. You work here? Are you with the renovation team? Nothing. And then, slowly, the man in the blue polo shirt began to move. He walked to the end of the hallway. He stopped. He turned around. And he went back to the same spot. Like a loop. The woman in the floral dress did the same. She walked to the stairs. She stopped. She turned back. Everyone started moving. Same movements. Same places. As if they were trapped in a routine. In a pattern. I was witnessing something impossible. But it was happening right in front of me. And then they formed a line. One by one, they walked until they were lined up in front of me. 3 meters from the chair, standing still, staring. The man in the polo shirt in front. Behind him, the woman in the dress. Then the teenager, the woman with the stroller, the elderly man. 2 more people I hadn't seen before. 7. Everyone in line, as if they were expecting something. Waiting me. "What do you want?" My voice trembled. The polo player stepped forward. Up close, I could see his face. He was in his early 40s, stubble, brown eyes, normal, human, but her skin had the wrong texture. Waxy, like heated plastic. "We were shopping," he said, his voice hoarse. "What?" "Christmas shopping," he continued. "For our families. For our children." The woman in the dress then said, "I was buying a gift for my sister." The teenager, "I came to pick up my video game. I had ordered it." One by one, they spoke, each one describing why they were there that night in December 2019, that night when I left my post. "There was smoke," said the old man, his voice trembling. "On the 2nd floor. It started small, but it grew quickly." "The alarm didn't go off," the woman in the stroller whispered. She looked at the empty stroller. "My baby was sleeping. I didn't realize it until it was too late." "We couldn't get out." The polo player took another step. "The doors locked automatically, emergency system, but nobody opened them. Nobody guided us." My throat was closed up. "Where was the security guard?" asked the woman in the dress, tilting her head. "Where was the person who was supposed to protect us?" the teenager asked. "Where was you?" The polo player was inches from my face now. Tears streamed down her face. "I'm so sorry. I didn't—" "You left," they all said in unison. Their mouths moved together. Same words, same rhythm. "You saw us, and you left." "I didn't know," I yelled, jumping up from my chair. "I didn't know it was going to catch fire. I was just going to smoke." They continued to get closer. "You left. You left us. You killed us." "No, I don't." The lights flickered. When they returned, they had changed. Their skin was burned, skin melted, flesh exposed, bones showing, their clothes in charred rags, and they kept walking. Run. I didn't think. I just ran. I tripped over the chair, fell, got up. My feet thumped on the marble as I dashed toward the nearest hallway. Any hallway, anywhere away from them. I heard their voices behind me. "You can't leave. It's not over yet. You're still on duty." I ran faster. The corridor stretched out before me, longer than it should have been. The lights flickered. Red, dark, red, dark. I saw a door. "Emergency exit," written in faded letters. I threw myself against her, locked. I pounded on the metal. "Open! Open, damn it!" Nothing. I turned around. They were at the end of the corridor, standing there, watching, their burnt silhouettes outlined against the red light. "Please," I pleaded. "Please, I didn't want to. I didn't know." The polo player took a step. His voice echoed, "But you remember, don't you?" "Reminds you of what?" "From that night. From what really happened." I closed my eyes. I tried not to remember. I tried to keep the memories buried where I had thrown them 5 years ago. But they came anyway, December 2019. I was in my 2nd month as a night security guard at the Westfield Plaza. The job was easy, boring, sitting in a cramped room watching 12 monitors showing empty hallways. It was Christmas Eve. The mall had closed at 6 p.m. Only me and the cleaning staff were there, but they had already left. I was alone. 9:37 p.m. I grabbed my pack of cigarettes. I left through the back door, just for 3 minutes. Nobody would know. I lit a cigarette. The Ohio cold stung my face. I was tired. My wife and I had argued again. Emily was only a year old. She cried every night. I hadn't slept properly in weeks. 3 minutes. That's all. I was on my 2nd cigarette when I saw the smoke. Black, dense. Emerging from the second-floor windows, I threw away the cigarette. I ran back. When I entered, the alarm went off. Finally. But too late. I called 911. I tried to go upstairs. The smoke was too thick. The heat was unbearable. And then the firefighters arrived. After they had erased everything, they found the bodies. 7 people. The investigation revealed that the fire started in a storage room on the second floor. Old electrical wiring. The alarm was faulty. It should have sounded immediately. But it took 8 minutes. 8 minutes was too long. They asked me where I was. I lied. I said I was patrolling the first floor, that there was no way I could have seen the smoke before. They believed it. But the cameras. The cameras showed the security room empty. They showed me leaving. They showed the exact moment the smoke started. 3 minutes before the alarm. 3 minutes in which I could have seen. I could have acted. But they didn't watch the recordings properly. The fire had damaged part of the system. The evidence was inconclusive. I was released. No formal charges were filed. But I knew. I always knew. I opened my eyes. They were closer now. "You remember," said the woman in the dress. "You saw us on the cameras," the teenager continued. "Running, looking for a way out. And you did nothing," the old man said. "I wasn't there. I had left." Exactly. The polo player was inches from me now. I could feel the heat, the smell of burnt flesh. You left. You abandoned your post, and we paid the price. My back was against the door. There was nowhere to go. 3 minutes, he whispered. That's all we needed. 3 minutes warning. 3 minutes to leave. "But you were smoking," the woman from the cart said. She came closer. Inside the cart, now I could see. A baby, small, burned, motionless. I threw up. I bent over, vomiting on the floor, sobbing. My whole body was trembling. "Please," I cried. "Please let me go. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." "Do you feel it?" The polo player's voice grew higher, almost a laugh. "Do you feel it?" "Yes. I think about it every day, every night. I lost everything because of it. My family, my job, Did you lose?" He screamed. His voice boomed in the hallway. "We lost our lives!" The hallway shook. The lights flickered violently. And when they returned, they were all around me. Closed circle, burnt flesh, exposed bones, empty eyes. "You still owe me a shift," they said together. "You're still on duty." And this time, their mouths opened, too wide, too dark. "You're not going out." I closed my eyes tightly. I covered my head with my arms, waiting for them to touch me, to hurt me, to take me away. But nothing happened. Silence. I counted to 10 slowly, trembling. I opened my eyes. They had disappeared. The hallway was empty. Just me, huddled against the door, surrounded by my own vomit and terror. I stood up slowly. My legs barely supported me. I looked both ways. Nothing. Nobody. They're not real. They can't be. You're having a breakdown. Post-traumatic stress. Hallucinations. But I had sense. The heat. It had sniffed burnt meat. I took a deep breath. I forced my feet to move. I went back to the food court. The chair was there. Empty. Waiting. And next to it, something new. A list. A yellowed piece of paper, taped to the chair with old duct tape. Handwritten letters in faded red ink. I approached, afraid to look, but unable to not look. The list said, "Night shift, December 2019, responsible." My name was written there. Event log, 9:37 p.m. Guard leaves post, unauthorized. 9:39 p.m. Smoke detected, second floor, east wing, 9:40 p.m. Smoke detector malfunctions. Maintenance overdue, 9:41 p.m. Victim 1, Sarah Chen, 8 years old. Calls for help. No response. 9:42 p.m. Victim 2, Marcus Webb, 45 years old. Attempts to force open emergency exit door. Locked. 9:43 p.m. Victim 3, Jennifer Walsh, 32 years old, seeks security, empty. Room 9:44 p.m. Smoke spreads. Main corridor blocked, 9:45 p.m. Alarm finally triggered. Too late, 9:46 p.m. Guard returns to post. Result, 7. Dead cause, negligence. My vision blurred. The words danced on the page. Those schedules, those names. I had never seen the official reports. I had refused to read them. I had fled before anyone could show me the details. But now everything was there. Minute by minute. What happened while I was smoking outside. You finally read it. The voice came from behind me. I'll turn around quickly. The girl was there. The one with the blonde braids. But different now. Half of her face was burned, her skin melted, one eye closed by the fused flesh. Sarah Chen, she said, pointing to the name on the list. 8 years old. That was me. Tears streamed down my face. I was buying a gift for my father, she continued, at the electronics store. I saw the smoke. I tried to leave, but I didn't know where to go. The mall was big. I was small. She took a step closer. I ran to the security desk. I banged on the window. I screamed. But you weren't there. Sarah, My mother told me that if I needed help, I should look for a security guard. Her voice began to break. A child's voice mixed with something older, darker. She said that security guards protect people. I'm very sorry. Where were you? She shouted. Her voice echoed throughout the square. Where were you? I was smoking, I yelled back, falling to my knees. I was out there smoking because I was a coward, because I was tired, because I wanted 3 minutes of peace. Sobs tore at my throat. And you died because of that. You all died. Because of my 3 minutes. Sarah looked at me. Her good eye, still blue, still human, blinked. A tear ran down her burned skin. I called out for you, she whispered. While smoke filled my lungs, while my skin burned, I still called out. Help! Someone, please. She crouched down to my height. But nobody came. She couldn't speak anymore. She just cried. Years of guilt, denial, and lies collapsing all at once. I should have died that day, I whispered. Not you. Me. Yes, she agreed. You should. The cold that took hold of me was absolute. But you didn't die, Sarah continued. You lived. You made excuses. You ran away. You rebuilt your life on our ashes. I didn't rebuild anything. Look at me. I lost everything. He's still breathing. His voice hardened. We're not. The others appeared behind her, all 7 of them, forming a semicircle around me. Marcus Webb, the polo man, said, My daughter was 12 years old. She waited for me at home that night. She waited for her father to return. Jennifer Walsh, the woman in the dress. I was getting married in January. My fiancé recognized me by my teeth. One by one, they told their stories. Their families, their plans, their futures that I had drawn. What do you want from me? My voice came out broken, defeated. We want you to finish your shift, Sarah said. I'm here. I'm sitting in the chair. No. Marcus shook his head. You still don't understand. He pointed to the stopped clock on the wall, 3:33. Your shift never ended, he said. That night, you left at 9:37 p.m. when you were supposed to stay until 6 a.m. Jennifer continued. You still owe 8 hours and 23 minutes. And every night you come here, Sarah whispered, you pay a little more of that debt. But time doesn't pass here, I realized, the horror growing. The clock is stopped, Sarah smiled, that awful, half-burned smile. Exactly. No. I got up, staggering. My whole body rejected it. It rejected the insane logic of that place. That doesn't make sense. Time doesn't work like that. I can go out. I go out. Run. I ignored their voices calling. I ignored Sarah screaming my name. I just ran. I walked past the food court and into the main corridor. My boots thumped against the marble. The sound echoed, amplified, as if 1,000 people were running alongside me. I needed to find the way out, the back door I came in through. You had to be somewhere. I turned left. The corridor stretched out. Empty shops on both sides, mannequins watching me through broken windows. I ran faster, but the corridor never ended. It went on, and on, and on. Impossible. The mall wasn't that big. I stopped, breathless. I turned around. The corridor behind me also stretched on endlessly. No, no, no! My voice came out in panic. I tried a different direction. I turned right at an intersection. I ran down this new corridor. Same thing. Infinite. I tried the stairs. I ran up them. I reached the second floor. But when I looked around, it was the first floor again. The same food court. The same red chair. It's as if I've come full circle. No! I yelled. This isn't happening! I went down the stairs. I tried another hallway. I ran until I found an emergency exit. I threw myself against it. I kicked. I punched the metal until my fingers bled. It wasn't moving. I tried the next door, and the next, all locked. They all lead me back, always back to the food court, always back in the chair. I don't know how many times I tried, how many corridors I walked down, how many doors I forced open. But eventually, exhausted, bleeding, broken, I stopped in the center of the square. And they were there, waiting, the 7 of them, standing around the chair. There's no way out, Marcus said calmly. You're under arrest, Jennifer said. How we've been, Sarah. I fell to my knees. My breath came in sobs. How long? I asked, my voice hoarse. How long do I have to stay? Until your shift is over, Sarah replied. But time doesn't pass. You said so yourself. It doesn't reach us, she agreed. But it reaches you, outside. My stomach churned. What? What do you mean? Marcus approached. He knelt in front of me. Every night you spend here, working, is a night out there, in the real world. 7 nights, Jennifer said. 1 for each of us. 7 nights sitting in this chair, the teenager continued. Feeling what we feel. The fear, the abandonment, the loneliness. And on the 7th day, Sarah whispered, you will understand. Understand what? She smiled. That terrible smile. What is it like to die alone, calling for help that never comes? The clock on the wall made a sound. Tick. I looked up. The hands of the clock had moved. 1 minute. Just 1 minute in all of eternity. Sit down, Marcus ordered, standing up. Finish your shift. What if I don't sit down? So you stay here, forever, running, trying to escape, until you forget who you are. I looked around, at the endless corridors, at the locked doors, at time frozen in time. I had no choice. I never had one. I stood up, I walked to the chair, and I sat down. I don't know how long I sat there. The clock was still stuck at 3:33. The hands refused to move again. My cell phone was dead. The battery died. How long ago? Hours? Days? I no longer felt hunger. I didn't feel thirst, only the weight of the chair. The rough fabric of the uniform, the silent bell on the cap, they had vanished, all 7 of them. But I knew they were there, watching, waiting. I closed my eyes. I tried to sleep. But sleep wouldn't come. Just memories, fragments of that night. But different now, clearer. As if someone were clearing away the fog I had placed over them. 9:37 p.m. I grabbed the pack of cigarettes. But wait. Something was wrong with that memory. I remembered leaving, through the back door, in the cold. But now I saw something else. Smoke. There was already smoke when I grabbed the cigarettes. I had seen smoke coming out of the ventilation duct, and even so, I left. My eyes snapped open. No, that wasn't right. I hadn't seen any smoke before I left. Had I? He had. The memory came rushing back, like a punch to the gut. I was in the security room. Monitor number 7 showed the second floor. East wing, a thin mist emanating from a stockroom door. I looked. I saw, and I grabbed my pack of cigarettes anyway. Just 3 minutes. Probably nothing. Steam, air conditioning. But you knew. Deep down I knew. And I left anyway. No, I whispered. No, I don't. I don't remember that. Yes, I remember. The voice came from everywhere at once. I turned my head. The man in the gray suit was standing behind the chair. The one who hired me. The one who knew everything. Who are you? My voice trembled. He didn't answer. He just walked around me slowly like a predator. You've been asking the wrong question, he said. What question? You ask who I am. He stopped in front of me. For the first time, I looked closely at his face, and I realized he had marks, old burns, scars covering half his neck, going up his jaw. You should ask where you are. My heart started racing. I'm at the mall, at Westfield Plaza. Is it? He tilted his head. Are you sure? I drove all the way here. I came in through the back door. Try to remember that night again, he interrupted. The night of the fire. What happened? After. Did you see the smoke on the monitors? I went out for a smoke. And then what? Then I saw smoke through the windows. I ran back. I called 911. And the bodies? His voice grew softer. Did you see them? I closed my eyes. I didn't want to remember. But the images came anyway. The firefighters carrying me inside after they put out the fire. The black bags, the stretchers, the smell. And then a stretcher without a bag, a charred body, unrecognizable, but wearing something familiar, a uniform, a security uniform. No. They found 8 bodies, the man whispered. Not 7. My breath stopped. The 8th one was in the break room, near the back, where the employees smoked. No. The back door was locked from the outside. Automatic system during the fire. Nobody could get out. I left. I remember leaving. You, I wanted. Leave. He bent down. We looked into each other's eyes. You saw the smoke. You grabbed your cigarettes. You went to the door, but it wouldn't open. Tears burned. And when you turned to go back, the fire had already blocked the hallway. No, no, no. You were trapped. You screamed for help. You banged on the door, but nobody heard you. I survived. I'm here. Is it? He cupped my face in his hands. His hands were cold. Dead. So why don't you feel hungry? Why don't you feel sleepy? My mind is cracking. Why didn't anyone answer your calls before you came? Why did your ex-wife never return your messages? 2. Why don't you have a shadow? I looked at the ground. The emergency lights were on. Everyone had shadows, except me. You died that night, he whispered, along with the others, and you've been trapped here ever since. So who are you? He smiled. And finally I saw. The scars. The burns. The face beneath the gray skin. It was me, an older me. More burned, more dead. I am who you become, said my own voice, when you accept what you have done. I fell out of my chair. My body hit the cold floor, but I felt no pain. I felt nothing. Because he was right. I was dead. I had been dead for 5 years. The true memories all came at once. Not the ones I had constructed, the real ones. I saw the smoke on the monitors. I ignored it. I grabbed the cigarettes. I went to the back door, locked. I tried to force it. I kicked. I yelled. Then I smelled it. Smoke. Thick. Black. I turned around. The hallway was on fire. I tried to go back. Impossible. The heat was a solid wall. I was trapped. In the break room. Alone. I banged on the walls. I yelled for help. I called 911, but the line dropped, and then the smoke came in. My lungs burned, my skin cooked. I fell, and I died, alone, calling for help that never came. Exactly like them. I died, I whispered, still on the ground. I really died. Yes, said my other version. But I remember what came after. The funeral, looking for a job, Emily growing up. Memories you built, guilt you carried. This place kept you trapped. I looked around. At the mall, at the chair, at the endless corridors. What is this? Purgatory? Your own creation. He pointed to my head. Your personal hell. Replaying the night you failed. Forever. The 7 reappeared, forming a circle. But things are different now. They weren't burned. They were normal, just like they were before. Sarah, 8 years old, blonde hair, sweet smile. Marcus, with his blue polo shirt and kind eyes. Jennifer looks beautiful in the floral dress. All of them, alive, whole. We forgive you, said Sarah. No, I shook my head. You can't. I killed you. You didn't kill anyone, Marcus said softly. The fire killed, the old wiring, the broken alarm, company negligence. But I saw the smoke. And I did nothing. You made a mistake, Jennifer. A human mistake, a terrible one. But human. We are at peace, said the teenager. We have been for years. You're the only one still trapped, Sarah said, approaching. She placed her small hand on mine. It was warm, real. You're the only one who hasn't forgiven yourself. Tears streamed down her face. Years of them. 5 years of guilt, lies, denial. How? My voice broke. How do I forgive myself for this? Accepting, she said simply. Accepting that you were wrong, that you died too, and that your punishment has already been served. I've spent 5 years here, my other self explained. Trapped in this cycle, hiring new guards, making them relive the night, trying to change the past. But you're not moving, I concluded. No, you just accept it. I looked at the chair, at that damned red chair. What if I accept? If I forgive myself? Do I leave? No. Sarah squeezed my hand. You rest. I understood. There was no way out. There never was. Just acceptance. And then, peace. I stood up. I walked to the chair, but I didn't sit down. I turned to them, to the 7 of them, to my own worn-out self. I'm so sorry, he finally said. Truly. I'm sorry for each and every one of you. For what I lost, for what I took, for my mistake. They smiled, and one by one, they began to disappear, soft light taking its place. Sarah was the last one. She let go of my hand. Thank you, she whispered, and it disappeared. I was left alone. The chair is still there, but it's different now. Not scary, just a chair. I sat down, and finally, after 5 years, the clock on the wall moved. Tick, tick, tick. Time has turned back. And I closed my eyes. Time to rest. I opened my eyes, but he was no longer in the chair. I was standing in the back hallway, the same half-open door, the same smell of mold and burnt plastic, as if I were arriving for the first time. I looked at my hands, clean, no blood, no scratches. I picked up my cell phone. The screen lit up, 22:30. That's not right. I walked down the hallway. I passed the break room. I went up the stairs. And I arrived at the food court. The red chair was there, but it was empty. And next to her, somebody, a man, maybe 30 years old, thin, deep-set eyes, wrinkled clothes. He looked at the chair as if it were a death sentence. "Hello," I called. He jumped, startled. He turned around quickly. "Who are you?" "I work here." The words came out automatically. "Human resources." He frowned. "You're the one who called me?" My stomach sank. No. No. Did you come to work as Santa Claus? I heard my own voice ask. Yes, $300 per night, right? I looked at him. I really looked. I saw the despair in their eyes, the exhaustion, the weight of someone who had lost everything. I saw myself. Do you really need the money? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. I lost my job, my wife. I can barely make ends meet. He paused. Why does it matter? Because I know how this ends. I opened my mouth to warn him, to say, get out, run, don't accept this. But the words wouldn't come out. Instead, I heard my voice say, put on the uniform, sit in the chair, wait. No, I didn't mean that. But he said. He looked at the cardboard box, at the faded red uniform. What are we waiting for? You'll find out, I replied, and I turned around. I walked back into the hallway. No, go back. Warn him, tell him the truth. But my body wouldn't obey, as if I were just a passenger now. I went down the stairs. I passed through the break room. And when I got to the back door, I stopped. I looked back. In the dark, I heard music, jingle bells, distorted, slow. And then I understood. I hadn't rested. I had become part of the cycle. I was the man in the suit now, the recruiter, the supervisor, condemned to bring others, one after another, desperate people, guilty, broken, people who had something to pay, something to atone for. Someone needs to sit in that chair, always. It wasn't just punishment, it was her perpetuation. I left through the back door. The Ohio cold hit me, but I didn't feel it, because I wasn't really here anymore. He was trapped, forever, not at the mall, not at the moment, no mistake, guilty. And now, I passed it on. I picked up my cell phone. I opened Facebook. I found the job groups. My fingers typed by themselves. Wanted, Santa Claus for the night shift, Westfield Plaza Shopping Mall, $300 per night, immediate start. I posted it, and I waited. There would always be someone. There would always be someone desperate enough, guilty enough, broken enough. The mall would never reopen, but it would never truly close. Because some places don't exist in space. They exist in guilt and the blame. Guilt never rests. I looked at the dark building behind me, at the empty windows, at the flickering lights. Inside, the new guard was putting on his uniform, sitting in the chair, starting your shift. A shift that would never end. Just like mine never ended. Just like the next one won't end. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. The music echoed in the cold wind, and I smiled. That dead smile. That smile I had seen on the man in the suit. Because now, I was him. And it always would be. Forever. If you listen to the end, you're already one of us. Subscribe so you don't miss the next whisper.